As mentioned, is a 2v2 ladder game, and this is going to go down on a map known as Crash Site. It's called Crash Site because apparently things have crashed somewhere, like a meteorite, I'm guessing. Now it's actually sitting on top of a mass extractor, so that's all well and good, but really it's just kind of like rocks all over the place. There is 13,000 reclaim to grab, and plenty of it is nearby where so yeah, Crash Sites of meteorites, nice little craters. But anyway, we're here to have a look at the players and how they're going to stack up against each other, and we have team 1 up the top and team 2 down the bottom. Let's have a g'day to the players and how we're going to do the first off. Up here, being assigned the blue color for team 1, it is U-Porcupine, not Porcupine, it is U-Porcupine, and because he has no Hydra nearby, you can see his build order consists of 2 mixers followed by 2 pigeons. So that's going to be a little bit reliant on some reclaim to keep going, but without a Hydro you have to pop down those pigeons as well, or you will have power problems. His teammate today in the ladders, it is Gnaf, and Gnaf is doing slightly different. He's throwing down the pigeons first and then sending the NG all the way over here to grab this Hydro. It's a good of a bit. Don't walk through the trees. He's just in that clump into individual trees. But anyway, so he's gone 2 pigeons and then starting to work on the mixers. He has first land fact with double adjacency on those, very handy indeed. Now let's have a look down at team number 2 in the far corner, in the red corner. Already really being assigned the red color. It is Columbo the Brain. And anyway, he's actually gone. So you see his opening bid is 2 pigeons, 2 mixers, 3rd pigeon, 3rd mix. Then he's heading 4th pigeon, then 4th mix, and so he's really focusing on getting some pigeons around his early internal builds there, wanting to keep this availability of power because he has no Hydro to use. There is a Hydro over here of course, but that may be claimed by his teammate, which is Mr. Draxkin, and Draxkin has been given the yellow color and he is really good to go. He does have a command for that Hydro from the engineer, but of course he has put some of his own pigeons in his base as well. So overall the average ratings of 1083 to 1087, so that's pretty darn close. We'll ignore the quality percentage. I don't think it's actually 100%. It is a bit of a misnomer from the ladder rating, but yeah, so nice open map, got a sort of choke-ish points around the far edges, and got a ridge here that units can go over, and lob shells down on unsuspecting bullet engines doing reclaim or stuff like that. So fairly open, but either way it is still looking like a pretty fun map. So it is Crash Site. This is a 10km map. It is a 2v2. I don't think you could maybe if there's an adaptive vision, it might get another spawn over this way, pop a couple of extra mixes for somebody to jump there, and they can have that Hydro to their name as well. And look at all these rocks. All these rocks, and they're not actually picked up with camera looped. Anyway, so there's still a huge number of rocks here that aren't 10, but there's still a bunch. So there's actually more reclaim on the map of what it says because of all those teeny tiny rocks that just aren't registering for the extra eco. And that is a lot of ambitious T1 PDs. Have a look at the queue for this guy. If this engineer manages to finish all these PDs, estimated ETA is another NG, isn't it? Yes, it is. That guy's doing those ones. So looking to meet up his final 13 minutes to get all the way over here and finish all that. Presuming that still is good. Evening Snowy. Yes, indeed, a fast stream. We do like our fast streams. It is. So I like to branch out, of course, but FAF is my thoroughly enjoyable game, and they produce such good fun. U-Porcupine has pushed up to the front of this column a little bit, stepping down a factory for that extra little action. We have some action over here actually. It's this Selene facing up against a couple of hunters. Never going to go well for the Selene. It is more a scout than a lab. And speaking of labs, we've got another few over here. Columbo is looking at doing a raid with a couple more hunters, and he's got a mole with him just to give a bit of radar. Now there are a couple of defending thams on these NGs here, so we see these guys have pullbacks because you have some intel on that. Well, not quite. He's just loitering around waiting for the inevitable NG coming to the Hydro, and it could have been good if he'd been able to push into here and pick up these guys. It would have been quite interesting. However, he would have had to contend with thams, and most likely would have been a loss and a waste of time. Down here, these guys decided to come and say g'day to the mass extractor, but they get a responding hello from a commander, and they go down pretty easily from that point. Down here, there is a defending Tham versus a Spirit and an Aurora. Now, that's a problem for the Tham. If these guys stay out of range, they can tickle it down. You can see they're well out of range, and it's just a gradual slow death. And if you can catch in and kill the Spirit, would be best. You can deny the radar for the Aurora, but just have a look how paper thin and weak those tanks are. Even with so much of a head start on damage, it was still a Tham and Aurora death at the same time. That's just how weak Auroras are. You have to kite those things. I think that Tham was like half dead before it even got within range of the Aurora. But yeah, definitely need to kite those things. Lots of micro required. But if you can get a bunch of Auroras microing against the commander, an unupgraded commander without a gun upgrade, no extra range, they can actually outrange the commander, and he's got no response but to try and either walk away or walk towards, but the Auroras are faster, they can kite away, and it becomes a game of like walking back and forth trying to have a go at each other. Their front. However, on the left now there are 3 Thams with a Selene moving on up, just a bit of radar, and they should be able to contest this. There's single radar going up here for this NG that will help these Auroras kill things at distance, but Thams are still tougher than them. If they can charge on in, they'll have a grand old time. On the right hand side we see the same thing has happened here. A few Thams out from Gnap, and they are promptly killing an NG. They're going to have a laugh over there until the commander walks up and goes, oi, bad, stop that, stop that. And he's actually rebuilding the mass extractor while the Thams get away. I think he kind of wasn't paying attention on that, because that should have been Tham kills before the mass extractor. So yes, DD Draxon is let those guys go. Has got a few extra units down here which could swivel on up and clean things out, but Engineer survives. Thank you very much, like you for that guy. And here we go, the cement coming up this way, and Tham should have an issue on their front. Alright, a couple of bombers out in the middle from Mr. Draxkin, and they have a couple of kills each. They've done a little bit of work, but we do see a fighter wing is coming in from Gnaf, and those bombers won't be too much longer. Don't know what they're trying to bomb, but they are getting some things done. Looks like they were circling around these mass extractors. No dice on there anymore, they get one, but then the anti-swarm comes along and just says, nah, more for you. There is a bomber having a go at Gnaf. That's kind of a pointless, fruitless exercise. Might as well go for something better, like, hey, these nice big clump of NGs in the middle. I bet they would just love a bomber to come over here and drop something on them. And the Zoes, my god, this is prime targeting right here. Stop hitting the commander and hit this. Look at that. Nice, big, giant clump of units. They would benefit from oh, I think we have had the order. There we go. Bombs away. Going down onto the NGs, but they stop and get missed. The bomber NGs had continued moving, they would have been dead, but now they, of course, they have Mantis up their butts, and that is not going to be long for this field. Dead NGs, bomber gets down from anti-swarm, and these guys are going to get pinched between commander and a small number of forces. No more forward momentum for those guys. Okay, speaking of forward momentum, we have another push up the plateau here from Juraskin. Catches an engineer who's popped down a radar. Of course, radar is incredibly useful for him, for his Auroras to see what they're shooting at before they can see them. And he's going to pick up the mass extractors as well. Porcupine has his commander in the area. That's going to, should do for these guys. And they're going to get stuck between commander, one force and another force, so not too much there. So we see Juraxon is starting up with a gun upgrade, so he's wanting to get his commander into the battle a little bit. Has a couple of tier 1 PD floating around the place, another one just here. And that's going to be hugely helpful against a, yep, no upgrades on Porcupine's com. He's going to want them eventually. And if he knew what was going on here, he would definitely be going. So you see what he's doing, he's getting his commander up front, trying to just keep his Auroras at distance. If you can manage that, then the commander can tank the damage and the Auroras can do some of the DPS. Because tanks are what you need for that. But on the right hand side, looking at this, Columbo, the brain, he has done a massive push up the side, and these units are going to get through. The only question is how many with these tanks trying to reinforce, but they've missed a trick. The bulk of the forces have gotten past. We're going to say goodbye to these mass extractors, and potentially more. Because this force has, well, it's turned around now, but it is facing against a larger army. and not looking too great. Did catch the Zooies back here though, or Lobos, Zooies, Medusas, whatever they were, T1 Arty. They were coming up, but they got caught out by these T1 tanks, and that's done. But is there enough here to kill off the Hydro? Maybe if you focused it. Might get out of range and not kill it. Oh, please kill it. 44 health. You just need to turn one of these guys back around to finish that. Oh my word. That is definitely a missed trick there. Another T1 bomber is floating around looking for some kills, and it can pick up a bunch of things here. If bombs are accurate. Kills Nardi, always worthwhile. But that there, that hurts. 44 health, and the Hydro survives. These guys haven't stopped though, they've just kept on moving. They're looking at trying to kill off more eco, kill a few more mass extractors, but honestly, that would have been a good little pick. And these guys here now are moving up, killing off more mass extractors, because why not? They're there, run into range of a T1 PD, that's going to hurt. There are a couple of producers which could take care of that if they were so inclined, but this force is now dead, and these units are in position to defend further attacks. Down here though, the gun upgrade is done for Draxkin, and he is ready to wander his commander on up and start taking on this large force here. The question is, does he have radar? Well, yes he does. It's around somewhere. There it is. So he definitely knows what's going on, and he must know that there's an upgrade going on there, because that has been a commander icon standing still for a long time. He knows there's an upgrade, and the question is what is done. So speed upgrade is done for Porcupine, range upgrade is on the way, and that will turn into a very tricky to defend against Aeon Com. Longest gun range of all the commanders once it has its double upgrades. But yep, that means it can actually kite other commanders while shooting at them. Now unfortunately this upgrade has been completed, so not much point there. Draxon is no longer in range of that com. I think the units coming crawling around there though. There were some engineers trying to slap off some walls, but it's not going to happen anytime. But the Porcupine, the Aeon Guncom, is very heavily reliant on radar to know what to shoot at. You can see there, it can only see this far. So without radar, it doesn't know about anything in this section here. It doesn't know what it's shooting at. There could be a commander there shooting back at it. It could be nothing. Don't know. But it's absolutely necessary. Another push up on the right, and this time we see the Hydro die. Maybe not, because there are some defending forces coming up from Gnaf, and these guys are just running straight on past again. There's a single Medusa left behind to lob shells, and for some reason it has been droidly ignored by these entire chasing forces. They're going after the Mantis while the Medusa just sits here, and it's going to eventually kill off that Hydro. On the left hand side though, big push coming through from Draskin. He's been moving up through that plateau very nicely, putting units as he goes, but there's a T1 PD about to finish. That's going to be a good deterrent there, and there we go, the Hydro has died. And again, we've had resourcing options just wiped on the way through sort of thing. Unwalled PD very nearly dies. It could have died. So close, but no cigar. Right, T1 Bomber doing some work as well. But these guys, they're just carrying on and just trying to kill what they can, but that's an Ushaba. And Ushabas are the bane of T1 units. Very rapid fire, very long range, very tough to try and deal with. This Medusa just chilling, just waiting. Would advise something else. Bit of a fracas in the middle, but that's going to go well for Gnaf, because Colombo, it is all T1. Aside from, it's not even got an upgraded commander, but then again, neither has Gnaf. These guys are basically relying on the units, and Colombo needs to be a wee bit careful here. He is walking into a lot of Ushvas, that's 5 of them. And does he have overcharge? Is question. He's going to need it. And the answer is no, he doesn't. So he doesn't even have overcharge, and he is trying his bestest to take on T2 without a gun upgrade and without an overcharge. He's going to be in serious pain, and he's actually down under 3,000. Oh dear, he's been primaried. His health is disappearing, and we're going to see Colombo out of position with his comm, no ground support, no gun upgrade, no overcharge. This is my biggest surprise. 13 minutes into the game, and he didn't have overcharge. Look at this. Draxon's got overcharge. Got overcharge up the wazoo. 74k. energy storage, but then again, he did go for Guncom. Nonetheless, if you're going to walk into T2 units, you at least want to have overcharge, preferably gun upgrade as well, because T2 units can shed your health very quickly, as we just saw. Columbo got himself mercilessly mopped up by a bunch of Ultravas. Alright, NAF is fine. His com perfectly fine. Porcupine is all good. Look at the twin. These are hiccups there. But he doesn't have. Oh, he does have radar from somewhere. There is T2 radar back there. So you can see what he's going to be shooting at. The problem is, what he's shooting at can also shoot back. There's a Guncom versus Guncom. However, remember, more range on the Aeon Guncom, so he will be able to do extra damage. He can even take out point defense without getting within firing range of them. They can take him, he can get close, and they can do absolutely nothing about it. Just like that. Overcharge onto those, and it is game over. A couple of overcharges, Tier 1 PD is down. So Draxkin has to push his commander back out to try and shoo Porcupine away just before he slowly kills stuff off. Massive force rocking through the middle. I think we're going to see the end of these three factories quite easily. Large swarm of Tier 1, maybe they're looking to get him behind and cut off you, Porcupine. They're certainly heading in that direction, but I think he will be okay if he keeps moving. Doesn't have a lot on the ground, but he is a 2-vet Guncom, which means the survivability is pretty decent against Tier 1, and he does of course have overcharge. We can see that working away, and that is going to be a very, very useful tool right now. Having said that, there's a lot of yellow spam. Just going to keep an eye on that. The rest of the map is kind of quiet at the moment. All the action is right here. The yellow spam absolutely threatening Porcupine, and he's down into the yellow. That is... oh, keep moving, please. Missed a trick there. All these units could have kept moving on back up this way. They could have cut him off, but I think just that slight delay and the fact there are some T2 Obsidians coming on into the fray, I believe your Porcupine would be absolutely okay with this. He's going to get out alright. Distraction from the Obsidians, and T1 Bomber. Yeah, that's going to a little bit of extra damage, but not enough. And he's back into the green. Got another rank of Bureaucracy. He will be absolutely fine. Right, let's just have a quick check on the map. Well, at the moment, it's still kind of 50-50. I think we're probably seeing a wee bit, not say about 50-50, some contested bits down here, but then we got this over on the right. A bunch of factories all upgrading to T2, and nothing to defend them from these stands, which will just slowly kill them off. That is just outright 100% wasted mass. Factories are there, the factories spending mass on the upgrades, but nothing doing and nothing to defend them. Down here, there we go, Ushfa out from Drax. That's going to help things, unless it runs in a straight line from our T1 artillery fire. Good night. Have a dirt nap. Okay, up here, this roving band of Thams, they're doing exactly what Thams do. Being a roving band, just killing off the factories, and... oh dear, that's just painful. Factories, this one is almost going to make T2 and actually start building units, but don't think it's going to make it. Might start on a unit, but I doubt it's going to finish. And that is actually a wee bit of extra pressure from Team 1 on there. So overall eco though, have a look at the teams. We have 120 to 160 as well. So 130, 127 to 166 kind of range. So it's about a 40 income advantage for Draxon. So he's actually done better. And going for the shield, so Porcupine going for that heavy Guncom, and that is going to be something to be concerned about for Draxon. He's going to have some issues trying to keep that one out. Draxon says what the fuck for some reason, and I'm not really sure why. Don't know what he's saying that about, but dang it, he did, and now he's... I don't know. I'll throw the pass on that. Must be a reason for it, but he's not telling the rest of us. T2 almost done with the combo, to give him some extra health. 16,000 health now, 2 rank leaders and gun as well, and straight into a T2 PD, because why not? They're going to need some of that, because this is what happens when you have just T1 PD. You get swarms of T1 AD, and they will take the PD out easy as North is dropping their payload down. T1 RD has no response to that, and wandering into range of T1 PD is not good for your RC. Just last, Heidi Shell takes out the T2 Vex, and hello Obsidians. Just tucking it behind there, carrying on, say hello. Extra little bit of oomph or damage there. Up here we see there is a T2 PD. What happened to the engineer, I wonder? I don't know, but he stopped building the more PD. He did not finish the flak. And now these T1 units are free to roam on up and do some pushing of their own. Over the side though, there we go, we see Porcupine with a shield upgraded Aeon Guncom. He wants to have a go at something, and he's actually brought in some mobile missile launchers, and they'll be good for clearing out some of this point defense. Definitely going to want to pop down some TMD. Is it what he's doing? No, more T2 PD. About now he's going to see the attack missiles coming. He does have a single defense back there, but it's a wee bit far back. It's not going to stop the killings going on a little further forward. And this is just overrun. We can see there's Rhinos in the mix here, and they are just blapping down these T1 PD, but the PD is having a grand old time. 7 kills that before it died, 5 kills on that guy. Maybe 6 before it dies. There we go, 6 before it dies, and is still alive. Having a grand old time, just whittling off all the health there. Still not dying. And you can see just how much of an advantage having walls around those things are. Just helps protect them so hugely. Right, a swarm of Nothers over here, and they are just getting picked up by a bunch of interceptors. Unfortunately, I don't know if they had a target in mind, but whatever it was, they don't have a target anymore. Okay, down here we can see the mobile missile launchers are doing their thing still. There's 5 of them up there, but wandering into range of T2 PD is not a great idea. Don't lead with your MMLs. Lead with your... there you go, that's what you do. You lead with your limited Obsidians. They're the ones who can tank the damage, leave your MMLs behind, and here we go. This is Porcupine wandering forward with his commander. I'm not convinced this is a good idea. There's a good amount of T2 PD, and Draxon's in the region with his comm as well. And okay, looks like Porcupine has decided maybe he won't loiter too much, but he needs to think about walking back, because at the moment he's kind of exposed. And the more T2 PD that goes down, the more problems he's going to have. Here we go, drops back behind the shields, he should be fine. But this raid, up on the right, my word, it has come a long way. And it's actually very close to threatening the base of Gnaf. T2, a few Ilshivers, a bunch of T1, but that's a siege tank. And this thing is going to have a grand old time against all of this. And we said that there's quite a lot of Ilshivers, and its health and will dissipate pretty well. Look at it just drop, effectively disappearing down to the red, and is gone. Some backup Ilshivers are behind, and Gnaf, does he have any kind of... well, he's trying to get a gun upgrade. If he had overcharged, he could auto use that, but he doesn't have energy for it. So these guys are all well and good to have their fun in the middle. Air loitering around, and actually speaking of air, no, still just T2 for Draxon. Do we have any air tech over this way? Nope, just interceptors. Those like scouts coming out. Still sticking with the T2 land. There is T3 of course for Gnaf, but he's got problems in the face of his base being attacked. He's lost all the eco on the way up, so he needs to work on getting that back. Another Ilshiv over this way, just a lone one wandering around picking up a mass extractor or two and maybe a factory, but just doing this thing and having some fun there. Right, back down this side, and we see you Porcupine starting to build up a few more in the mobile missile launcher department. Those even songs are tracking on up as they do, and he's actually pushed on through the middle here with a bunch of Ilshivers, but they are being repelled by a mixture of T1 and T2 units, mostly T1, a couple of T2, but then some Jesters are inbound. Or not, they kind of missed the target. Oh, they swing back over, and that should be enough to help take those out. T1 bombs also throwing their ground into the mix, and here we go. That's going to be the Ilshivers deciding they cannot stay in the region, and that is job done. Down here though, that's a lot of TML, but there's a lot of TMD going up, and yeah, Draxon is swarming up the TMD. He is trying to get some reclaim, I think, from these guys moving on up, but that's not a great idea. We have attack battery here. So attack battery, like this, you attack launchers, after you've been attacking with evensongs is not usually the best idea. Because if you've been attacking with bomb missile launchers, you pretty much guarantee that your opponent has tactical missile defense up. Excuse me. And that's going to make it much trickier to try and attack sniper because there's going to be multiple TMD. And now he's putting up shields, so he's going to be absolutely fine. But let's have a look at the left hand side. All these spots of T1 PD are done. They are all dead. There's nothing left on the ground, and that's a sizable push coming on in. There's a desperate attempt to build up some T2 PD over here. It's not going to work because these guys are going to get in range before that even comes online. Maybe it does come online. Maybe gets one volley off before it gets primary down into dust. 2 volleys. All the engineers are dead. There are some more T2 PD over here. A small wall of them over this way. So this push might not be so workable. Also pushing on the right hand side as a distraction perhaps. One of these is a distraction, one of these is the main push, and they're trying to get in, trying to get some damage done to the eco, which they very much need to. Falling a little behind, but look at that. PD says no. And the Obsidians just kind of don't care. Very strong, very close range of course, but they're very strong. And they can deal out and take a bunch of damage before anything goes wrong on that front. Alright, a couple of shield gens are up and a bunch of TMD is there to intercept all of that. And I do wonder what the plan is for the launchers. You could maybe send them off somewhere different, kill some eco. They would have to go skirting edges though because of the TMD. Definitely doesn't want to be wasting them on that mid spot. Okay, another push. Oh, this push has redirected. It was the one that was just here, but it's moved back and now it is moving forward again. And there's not really a lot to stop those. There's some T2 units over this way, but they've got a fairly open field, especially if they swung around to the far right. And again, this spot has been raided. We have some more Thams wandering in and killing off mass extractors. But this lot should absolutely 100% come around to the right and kill off this T3 mechs. Unexpected, but that is a strap bomber. So Draxon has made the shift to T3 air. There we go, and he has a couple of T3 PGNs ready and another one going up, so he's well into the T3 air game. We see no such thing as opponents. This is all T1 from these guys, so that strat is going to have a grand old time. Absolutely grand old time getting things done. Back there it goes. One ringed T2 max. Ha ha ha. Oops, a second. Can't tell. Don't see now the dead things, but there goes another bomb. And boom, right in here, kills a bunch of PGNs and the mass extractor. The factories live, owing to the fact they're a wee bit tougher. And the strat circles around for another pass at something, but gets introduced to a bunch of interceptors who don't keep their end of the bargain up. And just have a look at this. That is 23 kills with a 5,500 mass destroyed. You have a feeling it is all these T2 mixes that have gone up in smoke. There's another mix going to go on down, and it's just pain. At this point, it is just pain from that guy. Oh dear. What are we up to? 37 kills, 2 ranks of veterancy, and I hear more strats. What are they going for? Yep, they're up here being defensive, with a couple of citizens have wandered their way through, but they're not going to last too much longer. Plenty of obvious to shuffle those out. We have some T1 anti-air. Hilariously, can have a go at all this with a couple of T1 words artillery. All done and dusted. So these tech missiles, no kills. There's maybe been a bit of a waste of mass. There's no kills, but that strat run, that has hampered Porcupine so badly. He lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 T2 mixes, ringed T2 mixes, so he lost 45 eco. That is basically the eco difference between the teams. That strat bomber did everything it could. And what's going on here? Strat bomb in the middle, the shield is about to go down, and he needs to strat that because he's got some T2 arties going up. He does have that tech battery there, of course. Strats come on back. What are they going for? Anything they can. What they do get is the P-gen, the one tech launcher, the shield gen, and now the arty is exposed. And is this porcupine pushing? So he's decided enough is enough, and he's pushing with his comm. He wants to make something happen. The problem is he has got a few strat bombers overhead, 4 to be exact, and he's walking into T2PD. Not looking good. He's down into the yellow. Good evening, Small. Good evening. And oh dear, this is not great for Porcupine. He is way out of position, but the strats have done him in, and he kind of had no answer for them, if he's going to be honest. He was getting hit by strats. He had no T3 anti-air, no SAMs, no tick to really stop them. His only thing up here he had was T1 air, so the strats were just getting on through and absolutely. And more bombs away, but this time there is some anti-air in the form of a T3 lightning tank. This is the arguably the best about T3 anti-air. Is very efficient at his job, very good. Right, but that has made things go a little bit quieter. Those strats have done absolutely great work, and now there's a counter push coming up this way. These tech launchers that never got anything done, all they did was build some missiles and waste some mass. They're going to go down, and it's going to be happy fun days for Draxon, just cleaning out this little fire base. Strats do work. Everything explodes, and these guys just keep moving up. Nothing on the ground to stop them, really. Got a odd Libyan T2 point defense loitering around, just waiting to take things off, but hey. Anyway, how have you been, Small? Sorry, I just find that name so hard to say. Small Spakeka. Small Spakeka? Is the second S part of the second name or the first name? Uncertain at this time. Anyway, this push is just going. It's just going on and on and on. There's a T1 PD over here trying to get some work done, but taking some damage, but a lot of that fire is going over the wall just because of the fact that it's on a hill and some of these have arced. You know who it is, Stevie. I know it's you. I know you changed your name. Still just saying. Yeah. It's all good. I know exactly who it was. Okay, so we've got some reinforcements coming over from Gnaf. He wants to try and hold that side, and he needs to get a lot more reinforcements down a lot quicker up here, throwing up some T2 PD. That will help, but not a great amount against this huge number of units. He needs to get these factories up and spamming something out, even if it's just some T1 mobile arty would do it right. I have been well, thank you very much. I had myself a good holiday. Yourself, I haven't seen you in ages. I guess we haven't really hung out on Scary Stream that much because he hasn't been streaming, the lazy bastard. I know he's moving, it's all good. He'll stream when he can, it's fine. Okay, Harbinger out. That will be very good for helping clean up the T1 spam, but not so great against the YouTubers. They have a Harbinger for breakfast, but Gnaf has built an experimental. What the earth? He's built a chicken, so big that's where all his eco's been going. Big stompy bot, ready to go, ready to have some murderous intent over this way. But this series of everything over this way is done for. Harbinger has tried to do his best, but just too many Ilships in the mix. Oh yeah, I think everybody misses Damo stream. He is such a good streamer. He's entertaining as hell. Right. Few sniper bots to knock things off at range, and of course, as we mentioned, the Yathota walking over, desperately needed to try and keep things under control over here, but it's not going to really work that much. The factories will go down. Let's get a good amount of damage. Needs to maybe point upwards a little bit to the extra units this way. Another T1 PD trying his best, but not going to have any joy. Best against T1. What's it doing? He's thinking about walking somewhere to cut off all of this, although there's a fair number of sniper bots. They're going to have a grand old time doing things. Down here we see strat bombers are coming in from Drax, and they're looking to go for more eco. That was a rebuild T1 Max, but it now dies. He has just been harassing the hell out of Gnaf. Of course, the fact he had T3 air whilst he had nothing is not great for Drax, and those strat bombers have been the difference, we're not going to lie. Being able to move around the map quickly and just kill off resources, mass extractors that easily, just keeping his opponent's eco terribly bad. However, that Ythota is still something to be concerned about. Very much something to be concerned about still. T2 group here roaming the field. Actually, some T2, bunch of T1 if that pairs up with the Ythota. And if they go and have a go, especially with the sniper bots, it's actually a pretty decently tough swarm. What's Gnaf doing? Finish an upgrade, I would guess. And want to rebuild mass extractors over here. Yes, he is. Trying his bestest to get back into the game. Does have a few lightning tanks sitting here. Really wants to maybe think about moving towards the left to merge with that Ythota. Ythota is going to need assistance, especially from strats like this one, which are just happily loitering around and dropping random bombs on anything they can find because there's nothing to stop them. Going for this time. Like it flew a little bit too close to some lightning tanks, and the strat gets blapped out of the air now. Let's just have a look at the map and how much these guys have been fighting. Well, there's now 55,000 reclaim, all ready to be scooped up. And quite honestly, most of it is up here. Most of the dying has been going on Gnaf's side of the map. If he gets some engines over this way, he has plenty of reclaim he can grab there. He can make something else big, maybe another experimental, maybe a nuke or a T3RD, something, anything. Just trying to help out with that. Some jesters spinning around. They look like they wanted to kill off the radar system, which they do. Radar's gone. That will help. That will hamper Gnaf. What can he see? Well, not much. Definitely wants to step up another radar somewhere just so he can see what he's doing before his Ythota walks into something it cannot see. Could even avoid this spot and push off this way. Get down here, go around the PD, come down and destroy most of the main base would be a good way to do it. Like it might be heading that direction. Then the question is where? Oh, there we go. So Draxon's comms all the way down here, well away from the front line. And he'll be absolutely fine. Strat bombers are doing strat bomber things over on the left, but I imagine they are going to redirect now and come say g'day to this. That is the Ythota. So under some stealth. Nope, just doesn't have radar. There we go, the Ythota is now in range. It is picking off that T2PD at will, but the strats coming in, and we're going to watch the health just evaporate off this thing. There are lightning tanks behind it, but just the amount it has got. So much going on. And so much damage from those strats. T1 bombers, jesters, everything. You need to get your AA and flak further up because this thing is dying a horrible death. The strats have done the damage, the Ythota is down, and now the question for Gnaf is what's next? What is next? Because that Ythota took a serious beating. The lightning storm is going to clean up the rest of whatever's here, take down the shield, maybe kill off the NG, something, anything, but nonetheless. This group does have some flak in the mix as well, so all this is in danger of death just because T1 air versus T2 flak equals bad times. Guys, however, they only need to really worry about these things, and they will do some damage should they get in range. But now a massive push on the right hand side as well, so even as the ticket was coming down, We see Draskin was moving units up on the right hand side, cutting off mass extractors yet again. And Strat now having to go at this band of units here. Not the best idea with lightning tanks in the mix. A couple of casualties already and not too much left for the rest of them. Two more lightning tanks there. We're going to see the front one be prioritized. Gets a couple of strat bombs to take it down. Now, this one here survives though before it walks into range of some T2PD. A terrible idea. And that's going to see the end of that force in general actually. And now there's no lightning tanks up front for that group. Right, what do you have up here, sir, to try and stop all of this? You have a couple of T2PD. You have like no units on the ground. Yep, you're in trouble. T2PD is going to get some work done, but the amount of spam that's coming in and just the amount of everything that's going to die here, this is not looking great. Once these are gone, we'll see a T1 RD mix. There is. So the shields are going to drop. Then this PD is going to go. And all the DPS is going to come from a couple of sniper bots which are a little bit further back, but they're going to die in a moment's notice once those units are in range. And also Gnap sitting there with his comm, just casually shooting things down. Does have gun and should have overcharge, so we should be seeing some of those come out, but the point being slot lives for now. But there's just too many units, and Gnap is just losing out his base. He's also lost out his base over here thanks to the T1 air. In come the strats. They have gone for the T3 PD, T3 pigeon. I feel sorry because Gnap had got himself into the T3 air game. Kind of needed to deal with the strats, but his commander, he just control gaze out. The strats were coming back. They were going to have a go at him. Now throws out the GG, and that is Draxon. If one caller to come back, his teammate did die and it turned into a 2 versus 1. He managed to hold his own and then get the air advantage, which was key for his victory.